Hello and welcome to Project 1 eSports GT Season 5, the season preview. I am Jackie Prez, lead commentator for Project 1 GT, and I am joined by a very special guest, the owner of Project 1 eSports, Mr. BKXI. BK, how are you doing?
Yeah, Jack, I'm doing quite well here on this Friday afternoon, and obviously we have some Project 1 GT Season 5 to talk about. Today we'll discuss all the off-season moves, between drivers, teams, cars. We'll probably go in depth with the calendar as well, and then probably leave some predictions at the end on who we think is going to do well. Absolutely.
So, some key things to note for the start of Season 5. This season, it is a clean slate. We have wiped the board clean with car selection. You are free to choose whatever you like, apart from the VGT cars, as is specified in the rules of Project 1 GT. And our team owners have had an absolute field day of picking their cars for Season 5, basically because every car is now back on the table. And fair to say, we have got an exciting season lined up with the car choices by our team owners, BK.
Yeah, obviously, the first team to unveil their cars were actually the Banana Cake Pie Racing Division. As we know, they were runners-up last season in the team's championship. They wanted to announce, everything straight off the bat, and as they try and win their third team's championship, and that all kicked off with them announcing a brand new partnership with McLaren, who were joining Project 1 GT for the first time. And obviously Banana Cake Pie as well, the BC PRD team owner, he's really made a statement of intent, because he's actually been able to re-sign both Curving Texas and Flying Stingray. So they're keeping that same core, so we know how good that core is because they came second last season. Can they go that one extra step to the top of the team's championship table though? That's the one thing I'm really starting to doubt, because there are some rumblings going on, Jack, that this McLaren move isn't the most popular one in the BCPRD camp.
No, it isn't. We have heard rumours that drivers Flying Stingray and Curving Texas are very unhappy with the McLaren. And rumour has it that Flying Stingray may just, or even Curving Texas for that matter, they just may no-show the entire season out of pure spite for that McLaren. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that car plays out. Never been used in Project 1 GT before, so we don't know how it races against other cars. One team that we need to discuss, arguably the favourites, FP Autosport, who have got what you could argue is the best car on the grid, the Aston Martin V12 Vantage.
Yeah, as we know, Jack, that V12 Vantage was what carried Lunacy and Kennedy Motorsports championships back in season number 3, so we know it's a proven winner. That car racked up 15 wins in season 3, 11 with Stingray and 4 with Lunacy. And obviously, Aston Martin as well, they have a 100% success rate in the team's championship. They won it in season 3 with Kennedy Motorsport, they won it last season with Team Max Speed. And this season, in season 5, they've kept Prezzo, they've kept Rid 1, and they had that vacancy after Bernardo walked out on the team. And who did they go and sign? They went and signed Pod. FP Autosport, they were absolutely furious. Prezzo was furious at the end of season 4 after failing to win that team's championship. And what did he go and do? He signs the best driver on that market. So
yeah,
FP Autosport, they have made arguably a bigger statement of intent.
Than last
they have a lot more to prove.
They absolutely do, and discussions with Prezzo as well. He was fuming at the end of last season. He didn't want to be reminded of his team bottling the team's championship, so there's another reminder for you. But he has got arguably the best team, the best driver combination out on the grid, and he's got the best car, arguably the best car. There's no excuses this time around.
Yeah, and also, and if you look at it as well, Rib 1 and Bodhod, they're both former Drivers' Champions. They have 2 Drivers' Championships in their stable. Bodhod is a former Triple Enduro Cup winner, and Rib 1 is the defending Enduro Cup winner, meaning that all 4 Enduro Cups are at FP Autosport. And also, Rib 1 is the all-time wins record holder, and Bodhod is second in the all-time wins category. So Prezzo, has the two most successful drivers in Project 1 GT. This is a surefire success recipe. Sure.
You would think that, but, and this is a big but, it went pear-shaped last season. So there's a massive question mark over whether FP Autosport can even bounce back after bottling that championship. They should have absolutely hosed it in, but they didn't in the end, so it will be an interesting season in that vantage with FP Autosport.
It will, because obviously there is the rumour that there is it's a rumour, conspiracy, whatever you want to call it, about the number one car curse, because obviously Rib 1 will be using car number 1 this season. So if this curse exists, maybe Rib 1's form might decline a little bit. And obviously this is Brockhoff's first full-time season since season 3, because he only did a few races in season 4, so he's been out of in a full-time capacity doing an entire 12-round season. He's been out of the fold for a little while, and he has something to prove. And obviously Prezzo as well, if you look at it from a results perspective, this is actually his worst season as well. He's coming off a career worst season, Prezzo is. And, it's a team's championship. Rib 1 can't carry them to a championship. They couldn't do it last season, and they won't be able to do it again.
Exactly.
Prezzo and Bodbod will need to get their they'll need to get their arse in gear if they want to win this championship. And if they fail to win this one as well, I don't think they'll be able. I think this is the best chance they'll ever have at winning the championship.
If they don't win this championship, they're done for. Speaking of teams championship, let's speak about our defending teams champions in Team Max Speed, led by the Smeg. Last season, they finally achieved teams championship after 3 seasons of just complete and utter misfortune, non-committed drivers, just everything that could go wrong went wrong for Team Max Speed. They finally achieved a teams championship success with their 3 drivers obviously being the Smeg, Tim and KD. This season, they have got the Mercedes AMG GT3, and to prove that these two really are a package deal, they have signed Candy Cane and Jamo for Season 5.
Yeah, from Revo Satellite Racing. So the Smeg, Smeg did state that he wished that Team Max Speed were able to get one of the, get a marquee driver to pair alongside to really try and bring the fight to FP Autosport and the BCPID to try and be able to defend that championship. But you know what? Last season, Jack, I don't think anybody expected Team Max Speed to win the championship. And, Team Max Speed, they weren't really looked at last season as championship contenders. And they flew under the radar, and all of a sudden then they go on and win the championship. And they only did that with 2 race wins, which is the least amount of wins for a team. So maybe, just maybe, what if Team Max Speed did it again? No one's expecting them to win the team's championship. What if they just flew that under the radar, that by the end of the season, their consistency gets them a win? What if they do it again?
It's not beyond reason, BK. There is absolutely everything is in play for Team Max Speed. They demonstrated last season, as you've said, the consistency, and they actually demonstrated it as well, driving as a team. It is a team's championship. In the end, it's a team sport, and they demonstrated it perfectly, that if all 3 drivers just finish consistently, you will win a team's championship. It was the best example of driving as a team last season from Team Max Speed.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also, we've seen the progression from Kane and Jamo's debuts in partway through Season 3 to the end of Season 4 / start of Season 5 now. Those two have come along leaps and bounds in machinery that, in Max Speed / Team Elite Real Racing / Robo machinery, that has been inferior to this Season 5 Team Max Speed car. Because it's the best bit of machinery that those two have driven, and it's set to be the best bit of machinery that Smeg's ever driven as well.
Yeah.
So I think that you might look at the lineup, and you might look at, you might see, alright, Smeg, alright, cool. And you might see Kane and Jumbo there, and you think, alright, maybe it's an easy win. But I don't think we have the right to see it that way, because Kane and Jumbo have improved that much over the last 6 months, to the point where we don't know where those two stand, especially because they haven't driven a car as good as this Mercedes they'll be driving this season. So, Team Max Speed, they might just be able to fly under the radar and repeat last season, but obviously they'll need to repeat that same consistency and sort of hope that their much faster rivals just slip up.
Absolutely. Speaking of Kane and Jamo, their former team of Revo Satellite Racing, they are looking to be a dark horse. I would throw them in as the dark horse team for Season 5. I don't know,
I'd be inclined to agree. Obviously, they're the only team to stick with the same manufacturer from Season 4 to Season 5. They're sticking with BMW this season. However, they've upgraded from the M3 model to the M6 model. So obviously, Team Boss Viper Z will be hoping that that can help improve their fortunes. And obviously, they've re-signed Blocky, who had a standout season. You know, especially in that first half, Blocky was unbelievably quick, and they've gone out and signed Tim Ent from Team Max Speed. They've stolen him from the champions. Yep. I would assume that Tim would be the #1 driver over at Revo Satellite Racing. He's their third driver. Oh, you go.
Yeah, the thing is with Tim, you may assume he's going to be the first driver, but he's going to be absolutely pushed by Blocky, and I'll let you announce Revo's third driver.
Yeah, and their third driver is Dynamite, who has a massive point to prove, because after Lunacy's departure halfway through Season 4, Dynamite wanted to make himself Kennedy Motorsports #1 driver. He didn't achieve, in my opinion, I'd say he wasn't able to achieve that because his second half of season results were slightly down from the first half, but, you know, Dynamite and Tim both got so close to getting their maiden wins last season. And now they both have a fresh start, and Revo looking for a maiden win, Tim's looking for a maiden win, Dynamite's looking for a maiden win. And I think, you give them the right circumstances, I think we might be able to see it.
You're absolutely right. Now, we have neglected to mention the final team on the grid, your team, VK, Kennedy Motorsport, and what is going to be a trying year. I believe. Yeah,
so our championship defence was abysmal by our own standards as a team.
That's an understatement, yeah, unfortunately.
We entered Season 4 with... I haven't done the exact math, so I don't know if we still hold it, but entering Season 4, we had the record for most wins. Like, we led the all-time wins category as a team. And we just come out of a record, you know, broke a lot of records, got Drivers' Championship, got Teams Championship, all that. And we had a very solid lineup, and it actually gave us what was statistically our worst season. It's our first ever winless season, and by finishing 4th in the Teams Championship, it was also our lowest placing standing. And having Lunacy/Bodhob having a former Drivers' Champion in one of those seats, season definitely viewed as a failure, and we've switched from Subaru to Chevrolet. This season we'll be driving the Corvette C7. We're hoping
that gonna be good.
Yeah, and obviously as well, as part of the deal with Chevrolet, we brought in KD, you know, American car, American driver. That's just what Chevrolet wanted.
Paying the big bucks.
And then after the abysmal season, obviously we lost Bodhod, we lost Dynamite. We weren't really viewed as a big free agent destination. However, we have signed Roscoe Arm, and he will be the only driver on the grid competing for Rookie of the Season honours. So you're gonna get a trophy this season. You will undoubtedly win Rookie of the Season with Roscoe Arm. Really exciting prospect is Roscoe. We've seen how fast he is in the F1 arena. Very, very interested to see how it goes in the GT arena. I believe he is a dark horse to jag a couple of surprise results for you this season. Yeah, because Roscoe, as we know, he raced at Sardinia for FP Autosport. He ran pretty well there, and what wasn't known at the time was when Roscoe drove for us at Kyoto, that was actually his trial run for him to sort of get used to the team, get used to our machinery, and sort of get a bit of a get the idea on what it's like to drive for Kennedy Motorsport. That was his trial run at Kyoto. Obviously, we knew that we weren't going to have the strongest lineup heading into this season, and Roscoe. We think Roscoe's going to be a good pick for us, as we're going to try and rebuild. We had this great expectation of season 4. We really missed the mark, and now our goal is just to try and rebuild ourselves up in season 5. Winning the championship is not a goal for us because we know it's unrealistic. It's not attainable, but we're going to try and build ourselves up in season 5, try to get ourselves in a really good spot, and then try and go for an all-out attack in season 6. But yeah, Kennedy Motorsport, this is without a doubt the weakest that we've seen Kennedy Motorsport, because they really have shown to be a bit of a powerhouse in these first few seasons, but right now, probably at an all-time low.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen from time to time with teams in many different sporting arenas, be it AFL, motor racing. Sometimes you just have to go through a rebuilding phase, bring yourself back up and come back even stronger, and I wouldn't count Kennedy Motorsport out just yet. That would be a dangerous decision, even though Banana probably already has. Anyway.
So so
that's your driver lineups. We can't talk it over each other, mate. It's
I'll take it from here. All right. So that was obviously a bit of the driver lineups, letting everyone know what cars the teams are in as well, and obviously the driver lineups, as we said. Recently as well, there was some Season 5 pre-season testing. Not every driver from every team took part in this, Jack, but I sent you the pre-season testing results before.
Yeah, I did get them, yep.
But yeah, in the first day of pre-season testing, only 10 out of 15 cars hit the track, but it was highlighted by Tim Ann being the fastest driver of the day in that for Revo Satellite Racing. Obviously, he has to get used to the new equipment, with Blocky Rex second for Revo Satellite Racing, and Bodpod being the only FP Autosport car during this particular day of testing. He ran it at the top 3. So, obviously, testing is pre-season testing. You got to take it, for what it is. It's not, it's not always best representative of pace. And I mean, you look at the list of drivers. Obviously, there are a few contenders missing, but Revo Satellite Racing on this first day, Jack, looking really strong.
Yeah, they are, absolutely. And as we said in the driver lineups, I did say that they were a dark horse. Pre-season testing, maybe proving that a little bit wrong. Maybe they can run up front and run with arguably the title favourites in FP Autosport. Obviously, from these times you are missing defending champion Ridwan, but Prezzo did say that Ridwan, he didn't even need to show up. He's just like, you're fine, mate.
Yeah, so we'll go through the day 1 results. So Tim Ant was fastest, with Blocky in second, Bodpod in third, like we said. Dynamite for Revo was in 4th. So all 3 Revo cars on track getting mileage, and they had the top 4. 3 of their drivers in the top 4 times. Kane for Team Max Speed was 5th, so incredible job there. Banana Cake Pie was 6th, the only BC PRD car to hit the track. On day 1, BKXI was 7th, the lead Kennedy Motorsport car. Jamo was 8th for Team Max Speed, and then KD and Roscoe rounded out the field in 9th and 10th. And on day 1, we didn't see Ridwan hit the track, we didn't see Tex, we didn't see Smeg, we didn't see Stingray, and we did not see the Stones Towel either. So obviously a lot of top names not hitting the track in day 1, but obviously Revo Satellite Racing, they're taking advantage of, taking advantage of the timing sheets and not having those top dogs there.
Yeah, absolutely. As we will, after going through day 1, day two testing at Sardinia, we had once again the Revo boys up front. This time, Dynamite, Tim, and Blocky, your first 3 cars. So Revo Satellite taking a clean sweep of the top 3 times on day 2. Which, once again, proving they have got a strong lineup. And, this team's championship, we hype it up every year. This looking at these times, this will be a very closely fought teams championship, but we are not factoring in, obviously, two of the FP Autosport boys, two of the BCPRD cars, as well as the SMEG. So this field is going to be tight. There is no question about it. It'll be a very tight field.
Yeah, that goes without question. Obviously, BCPRD and FP Autosports, they're early favourites. Revo, we're looking from an outside perspective that could chip through the glass. And like you said, day 2, Revo Satellite Racing getting the 1, 2, 3, and obviously Viper doesn't actually know these results either. So if Viper's tuning in right now, this is the first time he's hearing this. So,
mate, your boys are running up front.
But yeah, Revo Satellite Racing and Kennedy Motorsport, one thing to note, the only teams to send all 3 cars into pre-season.
Yeah.
Team Max Speed had 2 cars for all 3 days. FP Autosport had 1 car in days 1 and 2, and when we go through day 3 results shortly, we'll note, you will see that the Stone Tail has jumped into a second FP Autosport car, and Banana Cake Pie is the only BCPRD runner going through the first 3 days. And there are rumours that is largely down to, at the moment, the current bit of a contractual fallout between Prying Stingray, Kirby, Texas, and McLaren themselves. They're sort of just trying to get to the bottom of things before round 1. So a little bit of friction there, which meant that contractually, Kirby and Stingray weren't allowed any testing hours for pre-season. But speaking of BCPRD, after that Revo 1, 2, 3, it was Banana Cake Pie in P4, Bodhod, the only FP Autosport car, in 5th, BKXI leading Kennedy Motorsport once again in P6, and it was Roscoe in 7th, Kane in 8th, leading the Team Max Speed cars, Jamo in 9th, and KD struggling in pre-season, struggling on day 2 as well, but he was rounding out the field in P10, and that was the day 2 results there of pre-season testing. As we
head to day 3's results, it's a different name at the top. He only showed up for 1 day of testing, but 1 day was all he needed. Prozo, aka the Stone Tail, finished day 3 on top at Maggiore, so it's well known amongst us that Prozo does not like Maggiore. In fact, he is one of his least favourite tracks. But he was able to put that FP Autosport car up the front. So, I don't know if you could take anything from that, but Prozo setting the fastest time on day 3, but he was followed closely, once again, by the 3 Revo boys. So, as the theme in testing, the 3 Revo boys running up front.
Yeah, obviously Tim led the Revo boys in day 1, Dynamite led them in day 2, Blocky leads the Revo boys in day 3, with Blocky in 2nd, Tim in 3rd, and Dynamite in 4th. So the Revo boys, obviously, Revo, you know, brand new car, they wanted to get all 3 drivers, they want to get all 3 drivers on track, all 3 drivers used for Revo equipment, and they're looking pretty strong in pre-season testing. And BKXI rounding out a top 5 there for Kennedy Motorsport, so BK's best day in pre-season testing, his best on-track performance, and Bodhod in 6th for FP Autosport, which really does put in the question, because obviously in days 1 and 2, we didn't have any teammates for Bodhod to compare himself to, but he's 5 places behind the Stone Tail. Is this just Bodhod trying to settle in to the FP Autosport machinery, or is he really just that far on the back foot compared to the Stone Tail, and ultimately you'd suggest would might as well?
I reckon that Bodhod's just trying to settle into the FP Autosport equipment. It does take a bit to get used to. I mean, you know, Prezzo's philosophy is high, big engine, big everything, just full power. Bodhod maybe not quite so used to the philosophy of the FP Autosport cars, but form is temporary, class is permanent, and Bodhod, the best driver we've ever seen, arguably, 3 endurance championships, season 2 champion. He was the best pretty much up until Ridwan reared his head. But I don't think, I wouldn't take anything from it, from Bodhod being that far behind Prezzo. I think there's a driver that good. I think he'll find his feet eventually, and he'll really push Ridwan, you'd think, in equal machinery.
Yeah, and you see it in motorsport all the time, Jack, as well, with, you know, when new drivers join new teams. Obviously, they might have a couple weeks of, you know, them being a little bit off their normal pace. They try and, you know, figure out the kinks and whatnot of sort of the new environment they're in. And I reckon that once Bodhod establishes himself with a little more FPO sport, because obviously this is Ripwine's second season, and Prezzo's third because he's been there since the foundation, like the formation of the team. Yeah, I think we could expect Bodhod to be back up towards the top step. And speaking of Bodhod as well, he's in an equal machinery to Ripwine, so this will be Bodhod's biggest test as well. And you know, Bodhod versus Ripwine, we got to have a GOAT discussion here. You know, they're in equal machinery. This will be the best chance we have to really see who's the best out of the two.
Yeah, well, this does set up an interesting conundrum as well for Prezzo, because he's got two guys fighting for a championship. That could get heated if he has to introduce team orders with his two star drivers. But
yeah, and obviously as well, Ridwan, it's only his second full-time season, but last season he wasn't number one driver, and Bodhod, he's never been a number two driver. He's always been the top guy at BCPRD when he was racing full-time there. So him going from that number one driver environment to coming into FP Autosport where he might not have that luxury, that privilege of being the top dog, how will Bodhod react to that? Will that take some pressure off his shoulders? Will that allow him to just focus more on the driving instead of having to try and carry a team to a team's title? Or will it cause, you know, some drama, some friction between him and Ripline?
I'm not entirely sure, but it might cause some drama at one point or another during the season. But for the most part, I expect that it might take the pressure a bit off Bodhod, and it actually might even raise the game of Ridwan, knowing that hey, I've got another guy in this team who's rapid. I might need to step my game up here and try and go even faster. So
that's it.
There's a couple ways you can look at it for FP Autosport, but I genuinely believe they've pulled, I'll spit it out eventually, they've pulled a master stroke here in getting two top drivers who can push each other. You just gotta hope that it doesn't end up a bit like the Scaife and Lowndes rivalry from the old HRT.
Or even if we want to use Prod 1 GT for example, we don't want to end up being the Lunacy Stingray rivalry.
Oh, that one yeah.
That rivalry was the reason why Stingray left the team to go join BCPRD, because you can't maintain two top drivers like that for very long.
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of BCPRD, we'll stop around. We still have some day 3 testing results to talk about. BCPRD, Banana Cake Pie was 7th. And then he was ahead of the Kennedy Motorsport duo in 8th and 9th of Roscoe and KD in that order. And then Kane and Jamal in 10th and 11th rounded out the field on day number 3. So yeah, obviously, you look at those times and you think, alright, Team Max Speed might be struggling a little bit, but keep in mind, the Smeg has not jumped in that car yet. And we know how good Smeg is.
We do know how good the Smeg is. He demonstrated it last season with his win at the Nordschleife in one of the greatest battles we've ever witnessed here at Project 1 GT. Just a quick remark on some sponsorship movement in the off-season between teams. Like to note that Kennedy Motorsport and FP Autosport have swapped tyre suppliers, so Kennedy Motorsport switching to the Michelins and Bridgestone going the other way to FP Autosport. Quick explanation on that philosophy there, just to change tyre suppliers after 4 successful seasons.
Yeah, so we had Bridgestone for seasons 3 and 4.
3 and 4, sorry. I'll get it right.
It was yeah, it was a 2-season, it was a 2-year contract with Bridgestone, and yeah, they saw they just weren't really with our vision. Bridgestone wanted, you know, they wanted to supply tyres for a team in a better position to win a championship, and that ultimately led us to reuniting with Michelin, who we were partnered with in seasons 1 and 2.
Yep, fair enough. Bridgestone obviously heading the opposite direction to FP Autosport to see. Be interesting to see how they go. BCPRD changing tyre suppliers to Hankook tyres.
Yeah, it's the second time they've been with them because they were partnered in season 2 on that Hyundai Genesis.
Genesis, yeah. With Dunlop heading to the Revo boys and the Smeg staying with his trusty Pirellis. FP Autosport also once again retaining Castrol as main sponsor in a vibrant new red and silver livery. You'll be keen to see how that looks come next Wednesday on Project 1 GT4 Round 1. Stay tuned.
Yeah, speaking of vibrant as well, Team Max Speed, they've ended their affiliation with Mobil 1 and they've linked up with Petronas and they have constructed a beautiful silver livery on that Silver Arrow, so that will be one to keep an eye on. Kennedy Motorsport as well. Kennedy Motorsport, they've ended their 4-season partnership with Monster Energy as the main sponsor. They've partnered up with Golf now, and Kennedy Motorsport have constructed a very clean looking blue and orange livery, which, you know, for the last 4 seasons, we've seen them as the black and green cars, now they're blue and orange.
Blue and orange with a tinge of martini on there as well. It's a very lovely livery. BCPRD signing Spy as a new sponsor for season number 5 in a gorgeous looking black, orange and white livery for season 5. Banana once again doing, this is the only compliment I'm ever going to give him, so you're welcome.
And it goes against as well because normally there's a fit. Normally yellow is quite a prominent colour on these BCPRD colours, and now they're looking to switch up their identity. But the team not looking to switch up their identity is Revo Satellite Racing. Are keeping a very similar livery to last season, but last season's livery was absolutely beautiful, so no complaints there.
Yeah, I don't think you can complain there at all. Season 5 calendar.
Yeah, so I will run us through this one because we do have some slight changes across seasons. So, season opener, traditionally it's Dragon Trail Seaside, it still is. Round 2, Sardinia Road Track A, that is now a super sprint race. It replaces the Red Bull Ring, which is no longer on the calendar. Maggiore is the 3rd round. Maggiore is round 3, and that is returning on the calendar. We last saw it in season number 3.
Prezzo will be happy with that.
Round 4 will be at Le Mans, the start of the Enduro Cup, and remember this, Bod didn't race at Le Mans last season, which means he's still undefeated at Le Mans.
On a technicality there, well, it's only on the technicality.
And you know who else is undefeated at Le Mans? Rid 1. So that will be a great battle up ahead, I reckon. And they're in equal cars, so who is the king of Le Mans? We'll have to find out. That one will be taking place on June 9th.
Yep.
Here on the Project 1 eSports YouTube channel. Round 5, we're visiting St. Croix for the first time, and this is one that Bodhot and Smeggy, they've both been heavy ambassadors at getting St. Croix on the calendar, and 5 seasons later we finally got it done. That one will be on June 16th. Round 6, the Nürburgring 250, that's June 23rd, and remember Jack, you said it before, we saw Smeggy versus Rid 1. Could we see those two have another fantastic battle for the win like we saw last time out?
We will wait and see.
June 23rd. June 30th, we return to Spa, and we haven't been here since season 2. So, you know, our drivers have evolved. They've got a lot better since the last time we visited Spa, so it will be very interesting to see how our drivers take on Spa this time compared to when they did back in season 2. Round 8. We've actually expanded to a 4-round Enduro Cup, and we'll actually be visiting the infield of Blue Moon Bay Speedway.
That's we haven't used this track before, have we?
We haven't been to the infield yet, no. So okay. that's July 7th for the people watching at home. July 7th, the Blue Moon Bay Speedway infield, 75 laps for the Blue Moon Bay 250. Round 9. It was the finale in Season 4, and that's also the footage you're looking at right now of the Season 4 finale. But it will be round 9 in Season 5, and that is Laguna Seca, that's July 14th. Round 10, the finale of the 21st, 2021. Round 11, Super Sprint, just like last season, Kyoto Driving Park, that's July 28th. And then lock this in, Jack, August 4th, Fuji International Speedway hosts the season finale.
Yep, that is going to be a fantastic looking calendar. Tracks that we are iconic with Project 1 GT, throwing in some old tracks coming back and some new ones into the mix. It is going to be a fantastic season of racing looking at this calendar.
Yeah, so Jack, obviously we've run through the drivers, run through the pre-season tests, we've run through the calendar. Now I think this is what some people have been holding out for. Obviously I could play some predictions, but that will show a little bit of bias because I race in the series myself and I have a team myself.
Yeah.
But how about what are your predictions? Obviously from eyes on perspective, Jackie Prez. What are your season 5 predictions?
What season 5? What predictions do you want? Let's.
Teams Championship, top to bottom. What do you think?
Top to bottom. I'm gonna go in reverse order. So I'm gonna start from the bottom and work my way up. This may not surprise you, but I'm sorry, BK. I'm terribly sorry. I'm putting you last in the Teams Championship in season 5.
Alright.
It went very silent there, but let me explain why I'm putting Kennedy Motorsport last.
Alright.
Lead team owners being lead drivers is never really not ideal. It's okay if you say like a rapid
Team
driver.
Max B last season.
Yeah, I know, but and I'm saying this is a big but.
He's the exception to the rule.
Yeah, you do have a rookie in Roscoe, not discrediting Roscoe or KD for that matter. Both very capable drivers. I just don't think that your driver lineup's as strong as, say, the other teams. In all honesty, I think Kennedy Motorsport have got the weakest driver lineup, but please come and prove me wrong. I would love to be proven wrong on that.
I'd love to. If KD and Roscoe are listening to this, let's go prove them wrong.
There's the challenge, boys. In 4th position in the Teams Championship, I'm going to go BCPRD. I think they will fall from 4th to 2nd, not from 2nd to 4th, rather. Mainly because the drivers just aren't happy in the McLaren. I just don't think that they'll be able to get the most out of that car this season. And as good as the drivers are, I'm very skeptical with just how all the rumour and innuendo has been flying around about drivers being unhappy at BCPRD. But
yeah, and also because you think of like real life as well, like real life motorsport, like the whole McLaren Honda debacle. They had Fernando Alonso and Jenson Button, and they still couldn't get anything.
Exactly. So yeah, BCPRD will finish this season 4th. 3rd will be Team Max Speed. I just don't think they can go back to back. Kane and Jamo both good drivers. Now they're in good cars. It'll be very interesting to see how they go. I think Smeg will still carry that team high up the grid and towards mid-table. A mid-table finish for them seems just about right, especially with Kane and Jamo improving vastly in the past 6 months. I just think finally they're in good equipment. They'll be able to showcase what they're capable of. Now, there are 2 teams left, and I think everyone knows where this is going. 2nd will be Revo Satellite. I think with the driver lineup they've got Blocky, Dynamite, and Tim. They should finish, I reckon, 2nd in this championship. Especially with all 3 drivers being fast in pre-season testing. I believe they have got it in them to finish high up this team's championship order. And your team's champions for Season 5, according to my predictions, these are not gospel, will be FP Autosport. Their lineup just looks too strong. You got Redwine, you got Bodhod, and you got Prezzo. I think they are looking very good for a team's championship. Let's see if they don't bottle it again. Interesting.
Yeah, and now, obviously, Jack, you've done the teams. But do you want to hear my predictions, or should we just stick to yours?
Let's hear your prediction, BK.
Alright, so P5 in Teams Championship, I reckon it will be Team Max Speed.
Yep.
P4, I've actually gone for Revo.
Interesting.
P3, now see, this is where I said before with the bias coming in, because our target is third in the championship, so that's where I'm predicting we're going to finish. You know,
yep, fair
obviously,
enough.
you're not going to aim for a target if you don't think you can do it.
Yeah.
And obviously, we see Revo and Team Max Speed as our biggest rivals. P2, BC, PID. I think we saw this last season. They have a great lineup, but I don't think they'll be able to really get the most out of the car, and I think they're almost unanimous title favourites. FP Autosport, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And top 5 drivers.
Right, top 5 drivers. It's a very difficult one to predict, but I'll go from fifth on upwards, and there's a lot of fantastic drivers. But P5 in the championship will go to. This is a difficult one. I'm predicting yourself. You'll finish P5 in the championship.
So 3 P5 finishes in a row.
I am of the belief that BK, you will finish P5 in the championship, one of the most consistent drivers on the grid. P4 in the championship. Now this is an interesting one. It will be... I'm going to go, assuming they can sort out all their contractual dramas, Prying Stingray will be P4 in the championship. Fast driver, seeing how well he goes there. P3 in the championship should be... It is going to be Tim-Ant.
Predicting Timmy to go big.
I'm predicting Timmy to go big once again. We saw him just tail off at the end of last season, but I think he's got everything he needs to finish top 3 in this championship, and I'm predicting... Now, you see, P2 in the championship is going to go to Bodhod. Bodhod will finish P2 in the championship, I believe. I think he's in a prime position to finish very well in this championship, presuming he does show up to the races and isn't bouncing a ball half the time. But he's in a very good car. FP Autosport are looking very deadly. They're looking crazy fast. And I believe that Bodhod will finish P2, which leaves back-to-back champion. Ridwan will win his 2nd consecutive Drivers' Championship this season. We saw him dominate last season. I see exactly the same for Season 5.
Yeah, so I'll leave my incredibly unbiased predictions now. See, I actually reckon I could end up P5 again as well, Jack. Purely on a consistency merit, because that's how I got him last time. So if I've done it before, I can probably do it again.
Yep.
P4, I have actually gone for Tim-Ant. I think that he will be able to be the one to step up and take lead at FP Autosport. He's not there. Revo Satellite Racing. Sorry, I have FP Autosport in my mind. They come a little bit later on. But yeah, I think that they're in a good spot. Revo and Tim has the opportunity to be #1 driver. I think he would be able to thrive in that environment. P3, I'm surprised this guy missed your top 5, and I've gone with Smeggy.
Oh, I thought about it for a second, but it's so hard to predict, man. I mean, come on.
No, it is, because you never know. There might be a sudden retirement. You know, car doesn't make it to the grid. Could always, throw up these variables. But I've got Smeggy for 3rd, and you'll notice as well, I've bypassed Tex and Stingray. I think this whole BCPID McLaren drama I think that will get in the way. I think it'll get in the way. I think that might send it a little bit further down the order, because I've copied you here, Bodhod P2, Red 1 in 1st.
Yep, fair enough. That seems pretty unanimous on the driver predictions, apart from obviously Stingray and Smeg in their respective positions, and Tim being higher on mine and lower in yours. Have you got any other predictions to throw at me?
Who do we think will be the biggest shock / surprise factor of the season? Like, who do we think someone who could, you know, like a driver or a team that we might not expect to do well, that could absolutely eclipse expectations?
I'm going Prezzo. I genuinely believe, after last season's shit show, that he is going to want to come back stronger and faster this season. So I reckon he is going to be driving like a bat out of hell to just... I wouldn't say not prove to us that he's still got it, maybe just prove to himself. I reckon he will spring a surprise here and really drive FPOS or even further up the grid.
Yeah, if Prezzo can recapture his season 1 / early season 2 form, this FPO Sport team could be the greatest team like we've seen assembled.
Absolutely.
And that hurts me coming to say, because I believe that the greatest team life assembled was Kenley Motorsports in season 3.
Yeah.
That's obviously subjective to opinion, but I think that's who I think best team life is. But you know, if Prezzo can recapture some of his older form, yeah, we could see this FPO Sport team could be the best one we've seen yet. And you know, Prezzo's a good pick for someone who we think could really defy expectations. And I mean, I know I just predicted these guys to come fourth, but I think Revo Satellite Racing. And if I had to go with one guy in particular,
I think I know who you're talking about.
I'm going to go with Tim.
Tim?
I was very torn between Tim or Dynamite, to be honest. I mean, either one of them could get their first wins. Hell, Blocky could get a first win. Blocky could get a first podium. Just remember, he still hasn't gotten one yet.
Somehow.
But yeah, I think so you said Prezzo, I'll go with the entire Revo Satellite Racing team as a surprise factor. But if I had another surprise factor as well, I think that given a few weeks to get the hang of things, I think Roscoe could exceed expectations too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Anything is possible in this, and Roscoe, yes, maybe relatively new to the GT realms, but seeing guys pick this thing up and get fast very quickly, so it's going to be a fantastic season. There is no question about it.
Yeah, without a doubt. And obviously we do have a few of the drivers tuning in. If any of you lads want to have any questions or anything, any comments to make, chuck them in the YouTube live chat, and Jack and I will discuss matters. Obviously, depending on how quickly any potential messages might come in. But yeah, Jack, we have a very, very interesting championship up ahead.
Absolutely, yeah.
And a lot of storylines. We've formulated a few storylines. We know that Tex, Curving Texas, he's already come out and addressed this one, stating that he.
Yep.
Flying up on the grid in round 1. Flying Stingray in that 78 car on the other hand, I'm not too sure. So maybe if we can get, we might get confirmation later in the week on that.
Yeah.
So it looks like Curving Texas will be on the grid, and Bonhod, he's believing the hype. He's believing the Revo hype. He thinks Revo can do it. Top 2 in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, he's not alone in thinking that. I think Revo have got a very good chance of progressing further up the grid. Obviously, the team formerly known as Team Elite Real Racing, after having arguably 2 very difficult seasons, this could be their time to shine, really. I mean, who knows? Who knows how well this team will go?
Yeah, and you never know. not just in motorsport or sport in general, but you know, just like just in life in general. You know, you never know when your opportunities are going to come. This might be the best opportunity that Revo Satellite Racing had in their existence. And yeah, Bodhod's added on a comment as well. We probably should have had Bodhod on here. Obviously, he's your obviously when you're not doing live comps, Bodhod, I assume will be joining you in the commentary box. He did a fantastic job with you in season number 4. But he said Team Blocky and Dynamite, it's very strong, and all 3 of them are on the rise. And I agree, all 3 of them are on the rise. They're rising stars here in Project 1 GT and Revo Satellite Racing. You know, they were the most improved team last season with all 3 drivers, and they could get that same stink, like that same honour again.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, there is no doubt about that whatsoever. Yeah, just seeing Bodhod's comments. Yeah, Tim Blocky Dynamite. And we know Blocky, the reverse grid merchant. That bloke is always running, obviously not always having the best feature races, but whenever he's towards the front, he is consistently there in the sprint races. So I would not be surprised to see him, especially in that good car, in the M6. I will not be surprised to see him jag a podium, if not a win, given the right circumstances.
Exactly, and that's the thing as well, you know? Like, sometimes you need the right circumstances. As OP, one of the wild card entries, he's someone who will be buying for one of those, you know, one of those one-off opportunities that can maybe lead to a full-time seat later on. He wants us to show the pre-season testing footage. Unfortunately, Mr. Jackie Prez doesn't have hold of that, so we won't show that.
Sorry, mate.
So I reckon we rambled on enough. Now, Jack, you know, we run through the drivers, we run through the teams, we run through what cars. Obviously, we haven't shown deliveries yet. We'll take those for round 1, but obviously, you know, we've gone through calendar, some sponsorship updates, and we've also left our predictions, and we've obviously had a little bit of interactions there with our live chat as well. So I reckon for the GT side of things, it's a wrap until our next hour of rambling in a few days' time, where we ramble on about the Mazda Touring Car Championship.
Yep, I am very much looking forward to that. So anyway, I would like to thank everyone who has tuned in to our Season 5 preview. I have been Jackie Prez, that's been BKXI. We'll catch you, obviously, for the Mazda preview, but also for Round 1 of Season 5, starting Wednesday night, 8:30 Eastern. You do not want to miss a moment. I will join you live for live commentary from these 2 races, which is guaranteed to be some absolutely fantastic racing. Any last comments from you, BK? Good night.